Hey, new background. But before we get to that, a PSA of sorts. If you or anyone you know suddenly experience what would be described as the worst headache of your life, centered at the back base of the skull, maybe radiating forward into one or more eye sockets, even down your spine when you strain, get to a hospital and make them do some imaging, ultrasound, CT scan. Google thunderclap headache for the worst result, which is the one that comes up first in many cases. And we'll get back to the relevance of that, but this was supposed to be a really positive update because after 24 years of renting in this inflated real estate market, I finally managed to find a house I could afford. And that I knew would change the channel. It's a smaller house, but it's got a huge yard and plenty of room for a shop, so lots and lots of possibility. But financially speaking, yes, the purchase, the closing pretty much wiped us out financially. It is going to be a bit more expensive to pay the bills, but I figured, okay, we could work with it. However, right after we closed, signed all the paperwork, paid all the money, made it official, my wife, mother of my children, dropped with the aforementioned set of symptoms, and we rushed her to the hospital, and it was that worst possible outcome. A subarachnoid hemorrhage, basically an aneurysm that had been lurking in her brain that blew under the combined stress of her job and, well, buying a house. Thankfully, they detected it immediately, got her to what's probably the best neurological institute in the region up in Seattle. Unfortunately, it's a 2-hour drive from where I am. But they identified the problem, a couple of procedures managed to fix it, and then she wound up in the ICU up there for about 3 weeks, dealing with the complications of, well, bleeding into those sensitive areas of your brain. But spoiler alert, she's okay. Everybody considers her very lucky. This could be lethal. This could be permanently, significantly disabling. It's a stroke. But it doesn't look like she's going to have any long-term lasting significant neurological damage. Now, we're still doing follow-ups and things like that, so to be continued. But yeah, everybody says she's really, really lucky considering what it could have been. But for the next 3 weeks, I had to spread my time really thinly between, well, prepping, and I had to do some painting and some repairs in the new place, and then packing and moving everything we'd acquired in our old 3-bedroom for, being there like 20 years. And we're, shall we say, crafty people. So you can imagine all the stuff we collected. And that wound up being about 8 truckloads plus 1 truckload just to dump and recycling with 700 pounds of stuff in it. I know because they weigh it, and countless carloads. And doing all of that on top of, well, I've got my own job and going up to see her, which, because that drive is a 6 to 8 hour commitment. For the first few days during those critical procedures, it's more like a 16 to 18 hour commitment. So for 3 weeks, there really wasn't any sleeping to speak of, or healthy, regular eating, or self-care. And yeah, this old man really overdid it, lifting lots of stuff that he shouldn't have been lifting by himself, and then continuing to do so on top of those injuries. Did I have any help? Yes, I did. My adult daughter, who lives with us when she wasn't working her job and a half or going to see her mom, pitched in a lot and, yeah, put up with a lot of Dad's meltdowns. My adult son, who doesn't live with us, did manage to take a couple, 3-4 days out of his busy schedule and brought some strapping strong friends to help with the heavy lifting after Dad had thoroughly broken himself. So that was very helpful. 3 weeks of nonstop, well, hell. Had to beg my old landlord for an extra 3 days in the old place to get everything out of there. And because of that time crunch, all we really had time to do was just shove everything into the new place. So the entire place just looked like one big storage shed. Day we got that done, I figured, okay, finally I'm going to be able to get some sleep. But no, I get a call first thing in the morning because, surprise, she's being released, which was great news, but I'm also terrified that the site of the place, looking like a big storage shed, her brand new home, was going to straight up kill her. And, well, almost. Now, she did get released with minimal restrictions, most of which, seeing the place the way it was, she immediately broke, except for the no driving restriction. That's because I kept the car keys. And she was doing really good for about 4 days. And then dropped, got really, really weak, rattly lungs, horrific cough, and given the worst possible outcomes, and especially after surgery like that, I rushed her back in, and thankfully, it was only viral pneumonia, something she probably acquired in the hospital. And because science requires that you repeat your results, she immediately gave it to me. And in my weak and injured state and my history of COPD, I think I was worse off for a while than she was. So we're both kind of forced to take it slow now. But going forward, there are definitely going to be some changes. Like I said, fiscally, things are going to be very different. I'm not going to be able to buy a lot of expensive new stuff to review. Probably going to have to reach out to some people to see if I can get some free review samples. But I do have a number of things I haven't reviewed yet. If you've been watching the channel, about the last month's worth of videos, I specifically recorded in advance, thinking I'd be busy just, moving, and then other stuff happened. But I do still have some other knives and swords I need to review. There's a lot that I do want to revisit, and I've been promising different kinds of side-by-side comparison tests, and now I actually have some very interesting space to do that in. So we'll see what the channel looks like going forward. Until I figure out what that is, thanks to all of you for watching, subscribing, following my journey. And if you follow me, have friended me on Facebook, you probably heard a lot of this, and you've already given me a ton of support that I can't thank you enough for. And yes, I do, offer my viewers the opportunity to go ahead and friend me on those other platforms to continue our conversations and our relationships in the sword and knife community. So definitely feel free to do that anytime. But until, whatever's coming next, again, thank you all so much for the support, the conversations we've had, everything up to this point. And I guess we'll see what happens next.